Greetings and welcome into the space where we are lovingly, steadily, intentionally calling you back and reminding you to reconnect to love. And when we talk about love in this space, in this container, we are definitely speaking about the kind of love that endures, unconditional, deep love that is a source kind of place. So when you are connected to love, as we talk about it in the context of the empowered journey, understanding and system, the ecosystem, we are thinking about love that connects you to wisdom, to intuition, to clarity, to a kind of nurturing and full seeing of yourself and of your whole life without harsh judgment in a way that helps you to grow and move forward from a deep level. And when this overflows from you, it flows into and onto everything that's connected to you, all your people, all your things. You are a different kind of energy in the world when you continue as a practice to come back to love. All right, so thank you so much for being here with me. I am Yolanda and very excited to see you and connect with you. So thank you for your time and your attention. I don't take that lightly. Today, we are talking about what it looks like to empty and to get to know and to care well for your cup. Okay, so when we talk about this idea of a cup, quote unquote, I am so sure, I'm almost certain that you have heard this phrase, excuse me, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. And often it is a cautionary kind of phrasing that people use when they're talking about people who are caring for other people. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so sometimes it intuitively or it lands, it finds a home, but not often do we know how to work with that language. What is a cup? How do I, not pour from an empty one? What does it look like in my real life, real time? Like, how am I supposed to do that? Or somebody might say that doesn't even make any sense. I don't even know what that means. So I'm here to give you a different way to look at the quote unquote cup, to not focus so much on trying to not pour from an empty one, but to really get to know the cup in the context of how this thing can help you in your real life. Like, how does it look in practical terms? And one of my teachers, Michaela Boehm, I want to bring you her analogy of the cup as it relates to your central nervous system. So, this is so important because your central nervous system influences so much of what you do, how you feel, how you're thinking, how you're behaving in your day to day life. Sometimes you don't even realize how it has kicked up to move you into fight, flight, or freeze mode, or when it has stepped down to allow you to be in a space of resting, digesting, to be in a space of calm. And so what does it look like to sort of work with? So the body is wise, and unless you have some sort of health issue going on that prevents your central nervous system from being able to sort of balance itself out, moving in and out of these necessary ways for us to be, right, to move through our day-to-day life, we need to have some get up and go and some fight, and sometimes we need to hold still and be quiet and be alert, right? This calm alertness. And how do we, so this comes from the space of the nervous system, so the body being able to work in harmony to move you through your life in the ways that your journey calls for and the ways that you actually want to, because your body is not moving through necessarily all by itself. You are working with your body. Your body is your vessel, right? So how do we um, learn to partner with this part of us that is so active and engaged and present in our everyday life, real time sort of space? One way to think about it is looking at the nervous system as a cup. So here comes the cup analogy, right? So when our cup, no matter what the size is, and it will change per season, the cup is capacity, right? What can your central nervous system hold? What can your body hold? What can your mind hold? What can your thought space hold? and still be in balance, right? Sometimes we can overload the nervous system and we end up having things like panic attacks, right? Being unable to sleep. So our cup then is overflowing with all of the things that are happening in our life, all the things that are happening in our body. We don't have any sense of what's going on, and the cup just gets all these drops and things and activities and people, all this stuff, triggers, all this stuff just fills the cup to the brim, and then it spills over, right? And we end up showing up in the body with something like a panic attack, where the breathing not only is shallow, but it becomes often constricted. We get tightness in the throat. Feels like something's caught there. We can't see past right here, like right here, right? We begin to sort of catastrophize, like our thoughts just go straight to the worst, the worst, the worst, or we are frozen, we can't do anything. So that is when our body has now got us in a space of, this kind of, or we're just completely unavailable. We are detached. We don't have room for anything else. And so the body begins to shut us down. Okay, so how then do we prevent ourselves from getting and living sort of in this space of panic and having this ongoing state of, constricted vision and catastrophizing and shallow breathing and tightness in the throat and in the body throughout the course of the body? The muscles, big muscle groups are freezing up and tensing up. Most of us live from that space, which is just on the brink of a panic attack. And, I'll raise my hand because I know what it's like. I know what it feels like to be sort of moving in that space of what I call brittleness, where you are not in touch with a sense of suppleness and flexibility and openness and room, right? Yes, yes, a field of yes is what Tara Brach calls it, being able to have some mobility and room to make new decisions, to change what might be happening in the reality, or to just be able to be with what is here with confidence and with clarity, so that you can make decisions, or so that you can just witness without feeling so much that you need to change everything. So being able to learn how to step your nervous system down when need be, or to key it up when need be, requires you to get acquainted with your own capacity. And sometimes this means being able to, sort of come in through the back way. So, really becoming aware of what is happening with your body. What kind of space are you presently in? And the invitation here then is to turn your gaze inward. And this is something that, as family leaders and leaders in general, it can be tricky for us to do because there's so much that calls our attention out. So when we're able to bring our attention in towards ourselves and to begin from there, then we can kind of come back to command central. We can come back to a place of getting ourselves calibrated. And in that way, we set, right, the tone. We influence the tone a lot more, with a lot more intentionality and awareness, when we can understand what in the world is even happening here. How am I? How am I feeling? What's going on in my body? What kinds of thoughts am I thinking that are influencing and impacting the way that I'm behaving? Okay, so when you can kind of get to know, how big is my cup right now? Do I have like a little teeny cup, little teeny capacity, and this is really all that I can and want to hold? Or do I have this huge cup, this massive cup that is everything that I want? Also, this cup has a capacity, it has a limit. So, being able to understand for you what is most true for you in this season. How much can you actually hold? How much can your body, your nervous system handle? How much can you be in charge of? How much can you facilitate? How much can you take in? Being able to be with the awareness of the cup, knowing that it's here, knowing that, when you get up in the morning, the goal is to have an empty cup, right? To get a really good night's sleep. How many of us are getting a good night's sleep to begin with, waking up in the night? I'll do another conversation where we talk about sleep hygiene and the ways to bring support to yourself and to your life by starting with sleep, starting with how are you sleeping? What can happen in the course of your day and before you go to sleep to support that space of being able to fully empty out the cup in a sleep sort of sense. And so, using sleep as that tool. But then beyond the point of sleep, auditing your life, auditing your day, auditing your calendar, auditing your activity so that you can really sense into what is happening in my life and in my day that I have just kind of I've said yes to this, and maybe the yes that you said pertained and it was just right for a season before this one or a couple seasons before this one, but you're still in that yes space for that thing, which means you are accountable, you are putting energy, you are investing into something, and it is using your time and your energy. Is it still working? So being able to audit your life, your day, your calendar, your moments, the activities that you are saying yes to that involve you, that involve, anyone who's attached to you, be those people, your children, relatives you're caring for, people who are in your home, people who are connected to you pretty immediately that are just outside the space of your home. What are you saying yes to in the workspace that you actually do have agency to decide that you will not have a continued sort of investment in for this season, because this season's cup may be different for you than it was before. So, how many drops into the cup are you actively, consciously saying an enthusiastic yes to? And how many are you like? So in our lives, right, there will be things I can hear you already. Well, I got to do this. This is what I have to do. This is what I have to do, right? But just make sure that that is in fact true. Check it against any agreements that you are making that are, subconscious agreements that you said, I have to be the one to handle this. Nobody can do this but me. Did you already make that agreement sort of in there and it's operating in the background? And what if you interrogate that agreement? Is it true that you absolutely have to be the only person, making the decisions about X, Y, and Z or doing X, Y, and Z? Is there room, right? Is there opportunity for you to rethink, for you to invite in any thought collaboration or consultation or, you know, and this can happen with like within the walls of your house. If you are not in a home by yourself, if you are, then it can happen outside. But I'm speaking in this particular moment to there may be people inside your home who you can have intentional, mindful conversations with, or people who are just outside your home. When I say just outside, I don't necessarily mean literally out, just outside. I do mean, though, people who may not reside inside your house, but with whom you have a close connection. And you might have just waiting for you opportunity to invite collaboration in around something that you may be presently thinking is only for, space on your shoulders, like it's only for you to carry and hold. And so, what does it look like to just give yourself permission to check in? Because at any moment, at any time, you have every right to decide that you want to live your life differently. You want to move differently. You want to show up differently. I used to teach folks when they wanted to do something, an outward sort of symbol or ritualization of just changing what happened back there. So, we can do it in big ways, like, there's a doorway right here, opening the door, deciding on this side of the door, when I get to the other side of this door, when I walk through this doorway, I will be starting again. I will be starting this moment. I will be starting, just over. I'll be starting this day. I'll be starting my attitude. I'll be starting everything over when I walk through this doorway. It will be new, right? So you making the conscious decision is something that you can do at any time, no matter what has happened, no matter what is happening. A caveat to this is that it does not absolve you of the consequences of what has happened before. All of that stuff, it still can stay. The difference is now that you have a different kind of appearance, a different kind of way to move. You have a different level of readiness and ability and power in whatever the circumstance is that you find yourself in, when you have consciously decided to bring awareness to how you are and how you want to be and how you decide to show up moment by moment by moment. Okay. I want to tell you a little bit about me because I haven't yet. I am a mother of four children. At times in my life, I have been parenting five children in a kinship care situation. All of my children, in fact, most of them are neurodivergent. They are expansive humans in many ways, beyond the space of their brain. In the way that they show up in the world, they are expansive. And I also have a spouse, a partner, with whom I've been with for more than a decade. And we together have a very unique situation in that one of us is neurotypical and one of us is neurodivergent. And there's a lot of unfolding that happens in the space of getting to know one another, raising humans to be free people who are embodied and self aware and able and have skill and are adept at moving through the world, moving through society, moving through life from a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, or energetic standpoint. So I also am a business owner. I've been a homeschool parent since I've been a parent. My oldest child at the time of this recording is almost 15. And again, there are four of them. So I understand. I understand what life can, look like, what it can feel like, how tricky, how intense, how trying, how your mental fortitude levels can take huge blows, how the body can take blows. I understand. So I want you to know that I'm coming from a space of knowing. And I also am now working with families all over the world who are coming into this space in the course of this pandemic, especially, but even prior, wanting to do something different than what you saw growing up. People who raised you, yes, did the absolute best that they could do with what was available to them. And you are doing the absolute best that you can do with what is available to you. How has it landed us all? It's worthwhile for us to pause and get our bearings at all different levels, right? Where are we at this big overarching level? How are you? What's happening with you and the family that you're caring for and leading, or the families that you're supporting if you are someone who is coming alongside as support to families? How are we? How are you? How are the families that are in your charge? Yeah. And then how can we sort of bring it into a more microcosmic level, a smaller level? How is the world of you? How are you? What's happening in here? What's happening in here? What's happening at the gut level, right? At the core level, how are you? How is your nervous system? I have been deep in the work in the last, I don't know, maybe so intensely in the last like 3 weeks, but as a practice tending to my nervous system is work that I steadily do so that I can last and thrive in my work of raising family, partnering alongside, and making sure that I'm showing up in the world in the ways that I want and bringing forward into the world my good work and important work, both inside the home and outside the home, without exhausting myself, keeping supple while I'm doing that. And one way to do that is to really get to know and in seasons to empty out the cup, pour out the contents, sort of like showing up to a table and having a puzzle and being able to pour all of the pieces out so you can see what's there. Then you can consciously choose, decide what goes into this space in this moment. How do I want this to be? How should this fit? How can it fit? How do I want it to fit for now, right? So that it doesn't overflow and I don't get to the panic attack space, right? And I want the same for you. I hope that for you. I hope that this has been helpful. Here we have talked a lot about what it looks like to focus on you in such a way that you are being able to get to know, become acquainted with, empty out the cup, and the cup symbolizing your central nervous system. So the part of you that regulates your fight, flight, freeze response and your rest and digest response. What does it look like to come to a space of stasis and to, sort of regulate and come back after you have needed to perhaps be in a space of fight, be in a space of freeze, be in a space of running, right? What does it look like for you to down regulate and to be able to sense into what's happening with your body so that you can really get to know and work with the body so that you are not just standing by idly while your body is in fight, flight, and freeze. And because we have this, this consciousness, we are advanced beings. Our brains enable us to make decisions. So sometimes the primal brain, where all this fight, flight, and freeze takes place, may not have the right cues. So sometimes we need to come online and offer gently, lovingly nurturing energy and activity and movement that enables our body to know that we are safe, to know that we're okay. And right now, we don't need to fight. We don't need to run. We don't need to entirely freeze and disconnect. We can be fully present. And sometimes that shows up with that teenager who is triggering and pushing all your buttons, or that 2-year-old, right? Or that spouse, or that partner. Something happens that makes some part of you feel stirred in a way, and you may not always be present to it. But when you can get to know the body by way of the nervous system, then you can begin to become aware of the cues that show up in your body to let you know, your consciousness, your awareness know that, whoop, my body is keyed up and activated. Is this, where is this coming from? Is this really what I need? And unless you're in a life or death circumstance, truly, sometimes some checking in is worthwhile so that you can show up with less reactivity in your conversations, less screaming and yelling, right? Unless you really want to. It's like screaming at a person, yelling at a person can be very damaging to that person's nervous system. So is it, just deciding, is this truly what I want to be doing? Being able to make decisions from a zoomed out perspective and not from a narrow, pain focused, fear focused sort of space. All of this begins and ends in the cup that is your nervous system. What is your capacity? So, this is what I have for you today. I encourage you to leave your comments here down below this video. Let me know how this lands with you. Are you aware of your cup? Does the analogy of thinking of the cup as a nervous system give you a sort of what kind of perspective does it offer you when it's beside that idea of not pouring from an empty cup? Which one is landing in your body and in your mind with more clarity? What are you deciding after you have viewed this video and kind of sat in this space and been in this container with me? Does this change anything for you about how you want to move into your day? Let me know. I love engaging with you. So leave your comments. And if you'd like to talk more about any of this, just say talk more. I want to talk more. Leave that in the comments and we'll make sure that we have more opportunity for us to talk more. All right. Take very good care. Life and peace to you. May you be well. May you be healthy. May you be resourced. And I will see you next time. Peace.